Welcome to episode 20 of the Brew Crew Scoop. I'm Scoop. That's Cole. Keen's alive, we promise. He's square in the middle of a high school coaching season. So we're without him again. But it's Wednesday, April 17th. The Brewers just avoided a sweep with a win this afternoon against San Diego Padres at home. They were on a little bit of a small skid, but they avoided the sweep, so that's great. We're going to break down the 9 games that they played since our last episode in the last week and a half. And then we'll check in on the standings just real quick for the first time this season, even though it's still really early. But talk a little bit of stats from Cole, and then we have a really awesome interview with Patrick Dorrian, who's an infielder for the Nashville Sounds. So he's been in AAA with them for over a full season now. So got a lot of good insight from him. He was the fan favorite voted by the Nashville Sounds last year. So really good interview with him. He's an awesome dude. So stick around for that. Or if you don't care to hear our voices talk about this week anyways, just skip forward to that because that was awesome. So Cole, how you feeling? 11-6 start for the Brew Crew.
Yeah, pretty good. I was a subpar fan this weekend, and I think I missed some awesome games against the Orioles, but was at AmFam on Friday for a concert though, not for baseball. I said, dude, we have all the screens now. We got the giant screen they don't use and the new side screen that's where whatever the dudek used to be and all that. Why not throw the game up there? I mean, come on. Why not? We're at the ballpark.
That's a couple
Yeah.
decks ago.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, I've been around. I've seen it all. And then I went on a little vacation to Savannah where I copped some Party Animals gear, official Party Animals podcast here. But they didn't have a 3/4 shirt of that, so I had to get a banana shirt. But
Scouting the bananas. We're actually
yeah,
the visitors pod actually. Our
that's
spiders
the Party Animals.
our spiders rep is playing for the visitors, one of the Savannah
Yeah,
Bananas away teams this year. So
yeah. But it was.
good for them.
I actually had a kind of interesting conversation with one of the like Lyft drivers or whatever down there though, because he picked us up from here and he was talking about it and he said like they really only play a handful of games there now and
Yeah.
like it's cool, but it's not even really their team anymore. So they don't really have a team there because they're always traveling. And for guys like you and me, they don't really have a baseball team there anyways. They have a banana ball team or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
what they do, which kind of a purist, but it's good to get more eyes and interest in the game.
Oh yeah.
So if kids see it, I know it was cool actually when we were there, the stadium was open and there was like a little kid running the bases with his little wood bat he just bought and he acted like he hit it because they just kind of had the field open. So the kid like was that was really cool to see. So he was having fun. And I actually saw in that stadium Hank Aaron played there. So
Oh, sick.
cool old stadium. And then with that same Uber driver, I started talking a little bit about the Braves and Milwaukee and all that. And yeah, it was kind of funny. So I think sometime maybe in the off season, probably push it off, but I really like the Milwaukee Braves history, just with like
Yeah.
my grandpa was here for it and he talks a lot about the Braves teams and the success they've had. So um yeah, all that to say, I mixed in a little bit of baseball on my trip, but wasn't
Yeah.
as good of a Brewers fan as I should have been.
Yeah, the bananas, they're very firm on saying it is not baseball, it is banana ball. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I didn't even really think about that now that they're touring. They were just down the road from me here and it was $400 to go or something like that last year, a
Yeah.
little indie ball stadium. But yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, well, just getting right into the game recap since we got a lot of them because it's been a while. They started out in Cincinnati, it's supposed to be a 4-game set, but game 4 got rained out. Game 1, the Brewers were down 8-0. Aaron Ashby made a start, and he didn't look great. The defense also didn't look great. They had 3 errors. But they did come back, but they still lost 10-8. Turang and Yelich homered. Game 2, Joe Ross went into the 7th inning, so that was really good to see. Yelich and Perkins both had 3 RBIs. By the way, you didn't see the game yesterday? Schroeder and Levering had a RBI versus RBIs conversation.
Mm.
Where do you stand?
So I used to be the plural, but it is truly just RBI, I
Yep.
believe. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm really thinking about it now, so I'm gonna be a plural guy. But anyway,
Oh.
the Brewers won 9-5, game 2, and then game 3, the Brewers took a series from the Reds because of the rainout with a 7-2 win. Yelich and Perkins homered. Churi had 2 RBIs, and Wade Miley had 4 innings pitched with 1 earned. The return of Wade Miley.
Yep. He
And
Wade
then,
Miley right through that outing. It's going to
yep.
be real fun watching Wade Miley and Colin Ray go back to back, or it's just
Dude,
about that in the rotation. Yeah, I
Ray's
know.
looking, yeah, he's looking really
Yeah.
solid. But then they headed out to Baltimore for the weekend series. Gary Sanchez hit a tank. That was awesome to see. He's still
In
struggling a
res
little bit.
in response to somewhat common podcast guest Ryan
Yeah.
outing him, and he was a little hot on his case. I think it's because they're both catchers in the catchers union. Ryan just
Yeah.
wants to see a little more out of his catcher mate.
It
But
is
yeah,
it is tough to not get regular at bats, so I definitely give him some more time before I'm too worried. But I mean, you know what you're gonna get from him. He's not gonna hit for average. He's gonna hit a few home runs. But then Adames and Contreras also homered. They're both hot. William Contreras is white hot. He is going crazy right now. But um, they won 11-1 on Friday night. Joey Ortiz revenge game. He had a
yep,
triple, 3 for 5, 2 RBIs. Uh, Freddie went 6 innings with 11 strikeouts, and the bench is cleared. Uh, no relation to Brian McCann, but James McCann, the catcher, it was very reminiscent of Brian McCann and Carlos Gomez back in the day. But neither of them spoke to what actually happened. There was speculation that it was due to Willie Adames kind of pimping a home run, but if you look at the video, he didn't really pimp it too hard. So we can only speculate what happened there. But it's cool to see this chip on the shoulder Brewers team playing with a little bit of edge to them. The Pat Murphy's Brewers seem to be a little more. I don't know what the word is, but they're a little more. Don't mess with us. That's the way to put it. So um, and then game two, Brewers put up 11 runs again to secure the win in the series. Hoskins and Bowers both homered. Bowers had 4 RBIs, and DL Hall got pushed around a little bit, but the offense ended up picking him up. And then game three in Baltimore, Corbin Burns versus the Brewers. Contreras led off the game with the home run off of Burns. And Perkins homered in the seventh to give the Brewers a 4-3 lead. But Abner Uribe and Hobie Milner combined for 3 earned in the seventh and eighth, and the Brewers ended up losing 6-4. Um, the Brewers may have had approximately 7 more home runs in that series if it wasn't for the wind and the wall. It was, I think Adames had 2 or 3 that would have been home
yeah.
runs, and Hoskins or Contreras had one as well. So there's a lot of home runs that didn't happen because of that. Obviously, it's fair game for both teams, but it was just crazy. Um, and then getting into this series this week against the Padres, they lost 7-3, but Jackson Trio had 2 RBIs. Thiago Vieira looked good, and Jared Koenig made his Brewers debut, the 1,000th Brewer, not including the 1969 Pilots, 1,000th Brewer to appear in a game. Um, game two yesterday was less than optimal. Wade Miley had a very bad first inning, took a comebacker off the knee from Machado. Defense looked bad too. They dug themselves a hole that they just couldn't overcome. But ended up being 6-3. Koenig was in again, and he looked really good, actually. So he ended up getting an option today, but that's kind of, he's going to be on that shuttle. So that was expected after back-to-back days and a lot of pitches. And then today, Michael King took a no-hitter into the seventh inning against the Brewers, but they ended up coming out with the win after Terang singled in the eighth, stole base, and then Perkins singled him home. So that was a huge 1-0 win to get off the losing streak, to avoid the sweep. And just those games that can go one way or another are just so big to be able to clinch. So the pitching looked awesome. Bryce Wilson got a start. He was the 8th starter for the Brewers already this year. Hudson, Piguero, Uribe, and Payams went the rest of the game. So Payams picked up the save. The only thing I really want to say from the San Diego series, and I know that I feel like I'm more over the Machado than most Brewers fans are from a long time ago. It's just like, yeah, he's kind of a D-bag. But at the end of the day, he had comments. He kicked Jesus Aguilar, whatever, it was a long time ago. After Thiago Vieira struck him out, a guy who's like 31 years old, has barely played in MLB. He was overseas for the last few years. He's always hyped. He celebrates striking him out, doesn't even look at him, and then Machado stares him down the whole walk off the field. I don't know. I just thought it was really fucking lame. I think he's very insecure for a 500 millionaire or whatever he is. Like that just whatever. Nothing came of it, but it's just every time I want to just appreciate Manny Machado for being one of the best players in the last decade in this game, he just gives me another reason to be like, whatever, fuck you. And I get it. They got to have an edge. All these good players do, but that kind of annoyed me. So that was my
Yeah,
one extra point from that series.
I'd say I'm not. I think you said you're kind of over, I guess, being
I'm
pissed
not
at
like
him.
over it, but
I just personally never was. He's like one of the guys I just really don't like.
yeah,
Maybe the least, like my least favorite kind of other player in the league. Now, if he was, if he would have joined the Brewers way back
yeah,
when we thought that was a chance, I think that'd be a lot different. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like him. But yeah, no, I thought it honestly. I could see where a veteran like Machado is like, what's going on here? But it was kind of cool to see Vieira still get so
yeah.
excited. And I don't know, he pitched really well in that outing as well. So, um,
And he didn't look
yeah,
at him. That was my thing. Because
yeah.
like I don't know. I do agree there are some celebrations where like we've almost gone to the complete other end of the spectrum. Are like, all right, calm down a little bit, but it was so mild. And Machado's reaction was mild. It was more his history.
Hmm.
But I do love that we still boo him. It's great and all. I just my thing is there could be a lot worse. There's the Wander Francos of the world, and so
Whoa.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's worse human beings that have played this game. I guess is my point.
I
So
think I remember you cheering Wander on last year down in Tampa.
yeah, I saw his first and last career walk-off home run. I saw it live, and I thought it was awesome until 3 days later we found out that his girlfriend's 14. So never
Uh,
mind.
yeah, we are an
Um,
anti-Wander Franco podcast as
correct.
well.
Let's stress that.
Just to clarify that.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
know with today's game, because I was home and working, but at least able to follow it a little bit more. Um, Wilson looked a lot better than I think he has recently. His cutter looked super effective, which is super positive. And I think the kind of story of the week, right, where against the Reds we were mashing the ball, and then that obviously picked up early in that Orioles series where we had, I think, back-to-back games of 11 runs, right? And the fact that we can win games scoring 11 runs and then still squeak out a win in a game like today with 3 hits, 1 run at the tail end of the game, in a bullpen game too, which I think there's something to be said with a team shutout like that where you're relying on so many pieces to get out, uh, is going to be key to our success, and it's exactly what this team is built to do. So if we keep doing it, it's just executing, I think, what the plan of this team is, where we're gonna mash, but we also are gonna play a little small ball and rely on the glove a bit too while at it. As you said, there were a couple games this whatever week and a half where the glove wasn't there, and it did come back to bite us a couple times. But I think on average, that's going to be a positive for us. I mean, even our pitchers are flashing a little leather, right?
Yeah.
Today.
Abner Uribe. That was a huge play to save a run to preserve the 0-0 game. Um, yeah, the defense looked shaky, but I'm not worried. Couple not mental lapses, but just like Ortiz yesterday could have thrown the ball a little harder rather than lollipopping it over there and things like that. But I'm not worried.
One thing that I've kind of noticed is I think Reese is still trying to get,
Yeah.
his legs and his glove back under him. But
Bowers looked great
aside,
at first.
I was gonna say, aside from the batting side of things with Bowers, where people kind of like his ability to rip a ball, which he's shown he's got some good exit velo on a couple of hits and rip some doubles, but his glove at first is gonna be a huge piece, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's driving in runs too, and he's hitting the
Yep.
ball hard. The average isn't there, but he's been fine. Definitely in the camp of keeping him around for the time being because the defense is good enough. So, and especially if the rest of the offense is firing on all cylinders, you can afford to have one dude in there just for the pop. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, but then our first look at the standings, Brewers are 11-6 in first place in the NL Central. Cubs did just win, so they're a half game behind us. Um, we are in the top 5 in winning percentage in baseball as of an hour ago. I don't know how all those games have ended, but we're up top and looking at both sides of the league. We won't go too deep into the standings, but Guardians and Yankees are leading the pack in the AL. The Royals are surprisingly looking pretty good too. They obviously have some good pieces in Ragans and Witt, but
Yep.
a little bit of a surprise team up there. And the White Sox are 2-14, so I'm not surprised, but man, that's brutal. And then in the NL, the Braves, Dodgers, and Cubs are hanging out up towards the top with us. Pittsburgh's right there too. So, but the rest of NL Central, Reds are 9-8, and the Cardinals are 9-10. So NL Central is looking like the deepest division right now, with the
Yeah.
AL East through a couple weeks. So
I know
interesting to see.
in the preview pod, I think at the time, which I think my Cy Young was Spencer Strider and my MVP was Julio Rodriguez. So I'm not gonna act like mine was perfect either. But while talking about the division, um, talking about the Pirates, I think Keen and I were a little high on them, and you dismissed them, which is fair because so
Yeah, I
did a lot
did.
of metrics. And if you look at them now, I mean, they're performing, and O'Neill Cruz isn't really doing his thing yet. And I think we're all kind of waiting for a special arm to come up for them too, in skiing. So I'm really curious to see how they manage all their young arms because Jones has been kind of insane, not out of nowhere, but definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, as I said, there was an arm in their system that everyone had eyes on, and it wasn't Jones, and
Hmm.
he's worth all the hype. So I'm curious to see if they can keep their steam or lose a little bit of it, but they're just another team that's getting things done. The Reds are getting some health back, and throughout the year, I think will too. So it's going to be a really competitive division, and I don't know. I just gotta hope at least the Cardinals don't pick it up
Yeah.
because
I
it's
gotta
kind
say,
of it's kind of fun too when they're not good, to
of
be
the
honest.
five, of the five, from what I've seen, I will say the Cardinals look the worst. They just Goldschmidt
Yeah,
struggling, Arenado struggling. I mean, we'll see. It's not I'm not gonna count those two out really ever, but they're struggling, yeah.
yeah. It'll be interesting, but hopefully it'll make it a fun race and
Yeah.
we just stay competitive and scoring runs, and that's all we can ask for.
Yep. Yeah, so getting into the injury news, unfortunately there's been quite a bit of it. Christian Yelich was put in the IL. He's got a lower back injury. They gave it a couple days to see, so hopefully he can maybe stay the minimum on there, come back next week. But through 11 games, he was off to a really good start. 5 homers, a double, 2 stolen bases, 11 RBIs, and an 1166 OPS. Weimer and Owen Miller are up. Andrew Monasterio is down. I think they had to bring Weimer up and option Monasterio because Yelich was hurt for that extra outfielder, but then now they put Yelich on IL. Owen Miller came up. So Weimer's swing looks very different. It's I don't know. It still looks a little, he looks uncomfortable, I guess I should say.
Yeah,
That's what I'll say.
doesn't look
Um,
smooth or natural. I
yep.
agree,
Hmm.
but maybe that'll just come with time.
Yep. Trevor McGill was in Nashville last night, so I think we'll see him pretty much any day. JB Bukowskis is on the IL with the lat strain. And then the worst news of the injured list, as long as Yelich is truly minor, the worst news is that Jefferson Caro in the minor leagues is having season-ending shoulder surgery. Initially, they thought that he wasn't going to need that, and he will. So that sucks. Eric Haas is on fire in AAA. So if they ever decide that Gary Sanchez isn't it, Eric Haas hopefully can provide what we thought we were going to get from Carroll towards the end of this year, but we won't be seeing him this year, and that's unfortunate. Especially, he's so touted for his defense and his arm. So hopefully he makes a full recovery and is ready for 2025. But really unfortunate.
It's his other arm though, right?
Is it? Hold on,
Oh,
I gotta check that because I mean I could be wrong, but that makes a huge difference. So
I thought it was. Maybe I'm making that up, but
'cause it was a
yeah. And I was gonna
dive
say
to the
one other thing with that was we kind of learned or relearned that there's not a 60-day in the minors, so he'll just keep his 40-man spot all year because we were
throwing
talking
arm,
a little bit about that. So,
right shoulder.
oh,
But
it is. Dang.
yeah, he'll keep his 40-man spot. Yeah, that's odd. It makes sense that you can't put minor league guys on the 60-day. to mess with the 40-man rule, but I've never really actually thought about it because that sucks that you'd have to. I mean, I'm not the owner, but you'd have to pay him, but you'd have to give him service time then if you want him on the 60 day. So that sucks. We have a whatever. I'm sure it's happened before and I just didn't really notice, but um, you don't want to start a service clock and put him on the 60 days. So hopefully that doesn't cause any issues. But yeah, I never really thought about that with minor league guys.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, that really sucks that it's his throwing arm. I don't know why. I was trying to be positive, or maybe I
Yeah.
confused him with Mitchell, but
Yeah. Well,
we'll have
because
to
it
have,
dives back into the base. So he's reaching across
yeah.
the right arm. But
Yeah. Yeah, we
um,
all saw Keston. Keston was just jealous of another
yeah.
hype Brewers prospect.
Right. Yeah. And then Tyler Waisner. I still don't know how
Yeah.
to pronounce it.
Yep.
You did a little profile on him, but he's been shoving down on the farm. That's good to see. Tobias Myers, the guy who was Javik Blake on our podcast, said look out for him. He's a guy who doesn't get hype. He has been incredible in AAA, and he actually just got called up today. He didn't pitch, but we should see him soon. So he's had 3 starts in AAA and looked really good. 19 strikeouts. Um, so we'll see what comes of that. But then one other thing I had to note about the major league team, and I know we had a little back and forth in our group chat about it, but the Brewers are stealing all kinds of bases right now. And we were debating, is that a Pat Murphy versus Craig Counsell thing? The Cubs were towards the bottom as well, or is it just we're young and fast team? So little early maybe to call, but we're definitely running a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Last year, both the Cubs and the Brewers were, I think, in the top 10 in attempts. Um, Not too noticeably different, right? And both teams obviously opting to run a good bit. And if you look at the rosters, yeah, there's some turnover for both teams, but the main pieces that were taking bags are really still there for both teams. And interestingly, this year, the Cubs have 8 attempts and the Brewers have 28. Now, part of that I think is, I think 9 to 10 of those attempts are all from one certain player who took a bag today from the Brewers, in Terang. But it's still, I think, interesting because the Cubs are, well, they're dead last in successful steals with 2, unless they got one today, which I didn't add in their game today, just because it wrapped up recently. Um, but yeah, it's kind of funny too, but they've been caught more than we have as well. So we're also more effective. So that makes me think maybe we're just better at stealing bags, but it doesn't really make sense that their attempts would be less than us when they stole more than us last year. And this year, both teams are getting on base at a pretty similar clip. So it's not like the Cubs just have no one on base and they can't steal. So yeah, I think it's something to follow throughout the year. I don't know if it's a manager decision, a front office decision, or more of the nature of the roster. But I think it is interesting, and like we've talked about, and you know, when we talk about Murph, he just is bringing a little extra fire, I think, to all the
Yeah.
guys, and it seems like he's also kind of letting guys show a little bit more, as long as they can back it up. So maybe it has something to do with that, where maybe Murph's telling guys if they feel it, they can try it too. Because I think even like Bowers has a attempt or a steal. Um, Lots of guys are trying their hand at swiping a bag. So
Yeah, and you got guys like, I mean, Terang's on base at a much higher clip than he was last year. He's always going to
yeah,
steal.
and
Um,
Churio is obviously
Curios,
on the team
yeah.
now.
So it could
Yeah,
be, but yeah, dude, Murphy is he just seems like from the outside, just a guy who it seems like you definitely want to play for. And I've
yep,
said it before, but you didn't know if he was just you saw the personality before, the funny guy and everything. And I didn't know how that translate, but you can tell that when he's managing games that he's gonna have his players back, and he's a guy that it seems like the team loves to play for. So awesome to see
yeah.
either way.
It it does seem like a great time to bring up the Cubs Padres game last week, where they blew, was it a 6-run lead or more?
Yeah, I think it was six
In
nothing.
like the eighth, and it was late in the game too, though.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of Brewers fans were
Well,
pretty vocal on social media, which you might want to temper. Maybe
yeah.
save that for right after game 162, and we see where we're standing. But
Yeah.
it
And last
is,
night.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't want to say funny, but um, I guess we're seeing how much a manager is really worth.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know. I don't know if at the end of all this, if we'll know that or not, honestly, because
yeah.
it always just comes across as players. But yeah, I'll tell you what, it'll feel really sweet if we win the division over the Cubs anytime we do it with Craig Counsell as the Cubs manager. So I've kind of been able to watch the Cubs games as if I'm a fan of, as if the Brewers are the other team almost every time. So
Well, like LePay said, right?
yeah,
He's always a fan of whoever's playing the Cubs.
whoever's playing the Cubs. Yep. Yeah. So that is the breakdown of the week. The end of the podcast, we'll do a couple short little segments, but we have a interview with Patrick Dorrian right now. So thanks again to Patrick Dorrian for his time, AAA infielder for the Nashville Sounds. All right, I'm here with Patrick Dorrian, infielder for the AAA Nashville Sounds. Patrick, thank you so much for your time during the season. We really appreciate it, and wondering how are you doing and how you feeling getting rolling a couple weeks into the season right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It's been good. Obviously, we're 2.5, 3 weeks in now. Got off to a good start in Toledo, slowed down the last 2 weeks, seeing a lot of pitches and stuff like that. So just getting back into the swing of things. Feel good defensively and just ready to get it rolling.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I was watching live when you homered. I don't watch too many Nashville games, but I was watching at that moment. So I try to keep up as much as possible when they're not overlapping with the crew. So but that was great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Are you how long have they been doing the schedule now where it's 5 days in one series and then off Monday? A couple years now? Because that's gotta
I
be
wanna
nice.
I wanna say this is the third year. But yeah, it
Okay.
is. It's
Unless
night and day better than what it used to be. At
I
least
heard
I think so personally.
I heard unless you're the starter who goes Monday and then Sunday again. That's the one thing if
Yes,
you gotta play
yes.
the same
I've heard
lineup.
that. I've heard that too with
Yeah.
some of the pitchers. They don't love that, but
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, you haven't made your debut in the show yet, but we did see you with the big league team in camp last spring and this spring. Before we get into that, I just wanted to do a little dive in your background. So you can correct me if I'm wrong on anything, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so you're from Kingston, New York. You're drafted out of Kingston High, 12th round by the Braves, and then you ultimately went to Herkimer County. Is that right?
Yeah, Herkimer County Community
Herkimer.
College. Yep.
Okay, cool. And then D2 Lynn College in Florida. And now
Yep.
I told you already, but this is where our similarities begin, but this is also where they end. Because I also went JUCO and D2, but I'm a slow throwing lefty reliever. So you're an infielder with some pop. But what made you decide to go to college instead of signing out of high school?
Yeah, I wasn't ready overall as a player mentally. There was just a lot I wasn't ready for, honestly. I made a decision really quick and just knew going to school was the better route for me and maturing on and off the field and things like that. And I look back on it and I'm glad that I decided to do what I did because it allowed me to mature in different ways on and off. I still got long way to go in terms of things on the field and that kind of deal, but just in terms of my progression and me getting better year to year, I just felt like college was the way to go for me.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, like I said, that was what really drew me to wanting to interview you in particular because of our similar background. So, but that's cool. That's cool to hear. I don't know that I would have been able to turn it down if I got picked out of high school. So that's definitely the
I
mature thing to do, and I'm glad to hear that you obviously made it back to pro ball anyway. So,
appreciate
um,
it. Thank you.
and I'm surprised getting drafted out of high school. Did you have bigger like D1 offers out of JUCO or was it not really?
Yeah, so I was pretty set on JUCO. My SAT scores weren't very great. They
Gotcha.
weren't they weren't horrible, but they just weren't
Yeah.
great enough to get into a lot of the schools that I
Hmm.
wanted to go to. So JUCO kind of was just the route for me.
Yeah.
I was originally supposed to go to Iowa Western Community College.
Oh
Then
yeah.
obviously with the draft and stuff like that, things got a little
Yeah.
mixed up, and I ended up at Herkimer. But I obviously very happy that
Yeah.
happened, and my head coach there was a great guy, and
Cool.
it led to a lot of good things. So
Yeah. I actually knew a couple people played at Iowa Western, so they got a good program.
okay, yeah,
But
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so um after college, how did you end up signing? It was the Pirates in 2018, the first time getting
Yep.
signed, correct? Okay, how'd
Yep.
that come about? Just unsigned free agency after or undrafted free agent, or were you expected to get picked? Or
So I had a really good junior and senior year at Lynn. Like my numbers were really good. I hit really well, played good defense. So I won't say I expected it, but I definitely knew there was a chance to have some traction maybe and get signed by a team. Pirates were the first team to reach out, and I was in no position to say no to anybody. You know what I mean? Or in terms of
right?
negotiate, like that wasn't really a thing. So I was
Yeah,
just ready to go, and a day or two later, I was there. So ended up working out, man. It's a unique story for sure that I've got and things like that. But at the end of the day, it was just all to get the best product, aka myself, on the field. And when that time was right, I knew I needed college. I knew certain things needed to happen before I felt confident enough to go into pro ball.
yeah, cool. Yeah, and then so you were traded to the Orioles in 19, and
Yep.
Do you know who you were traded for?
Jeffrey Ramirez, I
Okay,
think. He was a pitcher like up and down AAA big leagues, I think, at the
gotcha.
time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously you came over to Milwaukee in June 2022, and I was looking at today. Was that also a trade?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. That was
Um,
just cash though. That was not for
gotcha. Okay.
anybody specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was on your MILB page, and it just said you were assigned, I think, like one day to Norfolk, and then the next day you were assigned to Nashville, and I was like, I
Yeah.
don't think that you can just, but okay, makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, they don't specify that very
Yeah.
well on there.
Well, speaking of, and this just came up, but did you play with Joey Ortiz or DL Hall in Baltimore?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I
cool.
played with both of those guys. I'm good friends with both those guys. I've known them. I actually played with DL right when I got traded over there. I went to High A, which was the Frederick Keys at the time, and
Gotcha.
DL was there. So I've actually known him since about 2019.
Okay.
Joey I played with in Double A with the Orioles. So
Yeah.
great guys, unreal players, and Brewers fans are gonna
Yeah.
be really happy about them.
That's
I'm
awesome.
sure
Yeah,
they already are, but
yeah. They seem like awesome dudes. I've seen some short interviews, and Joey just got interviewed after the game the other day. He had a little bit of a revenge game against the
yeah, yeah,
O's, and
yeah,
you could tell he was he didn't want to show it too much, but he was happy, and he seems like a really good dude. So that's awesome. Cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, so getting into Nashville, told you the one main reason I want to talk to you, but the second main reason was you were voted fan favorite last year in Nashville. Is that right?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. Pretty
Awesome.
sweet.
Yeah,
Pretty
cool.
sweet.
So I wanted to know, like, what I guess overall what's Nashville like? I guess I don't have any specific questions, but we know like Vandy is there, so it's obviously a baseball town. And
Yep.
I did go to a Vandy game, but it was before the minor league season. So I've been outside First
Gotcha.
Horizon. I've never been to a game, so I'd love to hear what Nashville's like. Obviously, you got along with the fans last year, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one, obviously the fans are awesome. We get a good amount of fans for just about all our games. Even Tuesday night random game. Like we
yeah,
got fans out there, which is it really makes a huge difference. You ask any of the guys playing anywhere, really. Just having fans there makes it, a little more exciting, that kind of deal. And the fans here are awesome. The stadium itself, we're spoiled here, I think, for a AAA team. Like our stadium, the surface it plays, like everything is just beautiful. The media team we have, just everything is ran really well here, and it's super professional, and they make you feel like, you know, you're a step below the big leagues. You know what I mean? If
yes,
that makes
yeah,
sense. But yeah, they just do such a good job. Nashville itself I love it. I mean, obviously this is my third season kind of here. So like I've been here for a decent amount of time now. My girlfriend is from here, well, Franklin, but like she
gotcha.
knows the area really well. So I've been
Yeah,
able to see just all about it everywhere, eat at
yep.
different places. There's just so much going on all the time, and it's an awesome place. I love it here.
It's got to be a great place in terms of playing minor league baseball. I know Nashville obviously is a great town to visit. So there actually was he's a Brewers like color guy every once in a while, and he used to play in the Brewers. His name's Tim Dillard. For
Oh
a
yeah,
while,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I know Dillard. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, he was a journeyman a little bit, and there was a brief time where Nashville became the A's affiliate. So
Yeah.
and
Yep.
he was just eating innings in AAA as like a like late 30-year-old. So he ended up switching over to the A's org to finish his career
Unreal.
because he wanted to stay in Nashville. So that's where his family's from. So kind of funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you play all four infield positions, or at least you have.
Yep.
Do you still now?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's kind of where I'm at now is I just want to be able to play everywhere. And
Hmm.
if I can make that
Yeah.
above average at all these different positions, all that's going to do is help me. So
Yeah. Yeah. The Brewers love positional versatility. So
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
great. And I'm sure you could even probably hold your own in a corner outfield spot in a pinch or something.
For
But
sure.
I do want to ask, 4th of July last year, uh, I think you know where I'm going with this, but Rick Sweet hands you the ball for some mop up innings. What was
Yeah.
that like? And I got to know, was it a surprise, or are you one of those infielders? And I'm familiar. Are you one of those infielders that's always in the coach's ear? Like, come on, coach, I can throw.
So I'm really not.
Yeah.
I've never been that guy.
Yeah.
I've always said kind of to myself, if that is going to happen, it's going to happen naturally. Like the
Yeah.
manager, whoever it is going to come up to me, ask me,
Right.
I'm going to laugh about it. And I'll be like, yeah. The one thing I would have liked to been able to try to throw a little harder, but
Yeah. They'd probably
obviously,
tell you not to, huh?
yeah, you can't
Yeah.
really go out there and do
Yeah.
that. So it was fun though, man. And honestly, like before throwing that first pitch, I was more nervous for that than
Right.
anything else that entire season, just because it's different. Like,
Yeah.
I'm never up there, but looking back, it's really funny. I got some pictures of me on the mound, and
Yeah.
it's just great. I'll be looking at me and my girlfriend laugh at him all the time, so it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably better off being under bat speed than I'd have to imagine. Otherwise, you're
Exactly.
right. You're right on. You're gonna time up with them. So yeah, that's funny. I know I couldn't imagine grabbing a bat. I mean, I only played in D2 in college. But I couldn't imagine if they
But
looked over to
still,
me.
man.
But yeah, exactly. So that's pretty cool. Um, cool. Yeah. So I've watched a few Sounds games a month, like I said, but you got some pop in your bat last year, 40 extra base hits, 65 RBI. So we've seen defensive highlights too every once in a while. But we want to know if there's anything else you think that Brewers fans should know about you.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I think just the will to win is one thing that's always kind of been in me. Is just like close game, blowout, whatever it is. Like I just try to stay locked in, and I try to be ready to go, whether it's third, second, short, first. I don't care where it is. If my bat's in the lineup and you're giving me a shot, I'm going to compete, and the confidence that I have in me isn't going to go anywhere regardless. So,
Yeah.
just a guy who's going to work and a guy who's going to put his head down and continue to do that, whether the results are good or bad. So that's
Love that.
honestly my biggest thing. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, I definitely get the vibe. I've seen some videos of you. I saw you mic'd up, I think, once last year, and then saw you briefly in the freshman series. And
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
kind of how you popped on my radar because um the hype was real in Milwaukee with the farm system right now. And
Absolutely.
it's as good as it's been in, I don't know. I just turned 25, pretty much as long as I can remember. So
Right.
it was really cool to see that series. But we saw you at breakfast with Sal, and he was teasing you about waking up at 5 a.m. And I thought that was kind of funny. But um, what's it like playing with some of those guys, like the big names? Obviously, we've seen Sal, Joey, Bryce all get called up, but have you learned anything from, like, Joey and Bryce have both got an option back down? And I know Joey barely spent any time in AAA to begin with, so I wasn't
Yeah.
really surprised. But curious to hear if you've learned anything from them, if they brought back any advice, or just if you're tight with who you're tight with, or anything else about
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I just remember even Bryce coming down last year and me and him have a good relationship. His thing was just kind of like the routine, like having your routine, right? Regardless of where you are, knowing you can always get it done regardless of where you are is so important. Like I'm sure when he first got there, the nerves were there and things like that, but he knew he could fall back on his routine, right? So
Yeah.
regardless of what's going on or the moment's so big or there's all these big leaguers around me, I know I have my routine. I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do to be prepared to play today. So I just remember talking to Bryce shortly, that kind of deal. Like, don't make it bigger than what it is. You know
Yeah.
what you need to do. You know why you're there. Go get your work done and play your butt off and see what happens. You know what I mean? Because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, that's what you're doing, man. Like
Yep.
Just got to play your butt off, and it's a hard game. Don't make it any harder by
Yeah.
overthinking all these little things. It's easier said than done, but that was, I remember having that conversation with him at one point last year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be tough. I mean, obviously you want to stick, and they say that it's just as hard to stay as it is to get called up the first time, but
Exactly.
you definitely got your head on straight about that, so it's good to hear. But the last one I want to hear about, and everyone wants to hear about, and we've seen him a little bit, Jackson Chourio. What is it like? You saw him briefly, but I mean, I haven't really talked to anybody who's personally seen him day to day. Or I get one announcer had a
Yep.
conversation about him, but want to hear from a teammate what he's like. And obviously, we know the tools are there, and we know that he's gonna be really
Yeah.
special. But just wanted to hear what you took away from your brief time being teammates with him.
Yeah. Again, I know Cheerio. I don't know him all that well, so I won't. I can't talk
Yeah.
from a personal level. Yeah, he's just mature beyond his years. Good. Again, he's a guy, good, bad, ugly, great, whatever it is, good play, bad play, good swing, bad swing. Like there's no big emotion coming out.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I've struggled with in the past. I think I still struggle with it time to time. And if you can have that at such a young age and not have to learn that, it's just kind of instilled with you. I think in baseball specifically, that is just so huge because half the battle is up here, more than half the battle is up here. And as you know, you've played. But he works his butt off. He's to me, he seems like a guy. And when he was here in Nashville, like one of the first guys here, one of the last guys to leave. Like he's that kind of guy, and he just loves the game, and he has fun playing the game. And he's a guy. If I grew up a Brewers fan, and I've been a Brewers fan my whole life, and I see them sign him to that deal they signed him to, I'd be ecstatic for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I'm curious, who did you root for growing up?
I was a Yankee fan growing
Yankees.
up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just went out to me and the friends on the podcast. We went out to Yankee Stadium for the first time in September.
Oh, no way.
The Brewers were there in September.
Oh yeah.
Awesome series. Sal Frelick and Joey Weimer almost killed each other on a catch.
Yes, they did.
that was cool. But yeah, it was really cool to see. I'm
Absolutely.
a huge baseball historian. Actually, I got Babe Ruth right there behind me. So, but
there you go.
Really cool to see. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then what made you go to Florida? Was that like, are you a warm weather guy? My family actually just moved to Tampa. I stuck around, but the rest of my immediate family. So I'm a Midwest guy. I love Milwaukee, and I love the seasons, but I'm curious to hear if that was a weather thing or it was just a great fit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the weather had something to do with it for sure. You know what I mean? Being able to play outside all year long is something I had never experienced, and I definitely wanted to. And thought that I had. I was like, there's got to be some big time benefits to that. You know what I mean? Being able to take ground balls on dirt in January.
Yeah.
Like there's benefits to that. So, yeah, that was a big part of it. My roommate from my junior college also ended up going to Lynn. So just things like that. Just we had conversations, and there was a lot going on, obviously, with the draft, and there's little details and stuff that I couldn't do this, couldn't do that. So that combined with my roommate going there, we had such a good relationship and still do. So it just kind of made a lot of sense for me. And like, I'm very happy I ended up there because a lot of good things happened there. And that ultimately brought me to where I am now. So
yeah, cool. Have you ever been to Milwaukee?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not been to Milwaukee, but
I don't know if you're like a big city guy because you're from New York or what, but it's a really small big city, but it's awesome. Like when you see it, you're gonna love it. So
absolutely.
But yeah,
hopefully sooner rather than later. We can get over there.
Absolutely, dude. I'll tell you what. Like I said, the Brewers love their versatile defenders, and you can hit for some pop. You're a lefty. You're definitely. It makes sense why you're in AAA for them right now. So
for sure.
I would not be surprised if sooner than later we saw you in a Brewers uniform. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to hear if you have a favorite moment in pro ball, and or has there ever been a moment where like maybe an MLB guy was down on rehab and it was like a crazy like wow, like I'm in pro ball, like
Yeah, I'll start with that one because it just story popped in my head. I was in high A in Frederick with the Orioles at the time. We were playing against the Nationals high A I can't remember what the affiliate was, but Ryan Zimmerman was actually
Oh,
playing,
nice.
and he played forever, and I saw him come to the plate, and I was like, whoa, like that was the first time, and
Yeah.
then he ended up hitting a triple. So he gets the third, and I'm playing third, and I
Yeah.
just like couldn't even tell you what we said, but I just remember him being a really nice guy and
Yeah.
things like that, and I was like, in a way, like starstruck. That was kind of my first experience of like, whoa, I'm like playing against a big leaguer, like an
Right.
established big leaguer, and it was really cool. Like it really just was, and as more and more you see and it continues to happen and guys come up and they're playing with you get more used to it and things like that, and you realize, yeah, they're just normal guys,
Yep.
but at the end of the day it's always going to be cool, and I'll never deny that. Like if Christian Yelich came down here and was playing with us
Yeah.
for a week, like that'd be sick.
Yes.
I'd try to pick his brain all week and get everything out
Yep.
of that I could. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'll never deny how cool that is because it'll always be cool. But
Hmm.
hopefully I'll get to experience that from the other side someday. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I hope not. But Yelly's on the shelf right now for a couple days with a back injury. So unfortunately, you might get your wish. But
Yeah, dang, I guess I should have used a different example,
no,
but
I
that's
know
okay.
exactly what you mean. He's quite the celebrity here in this city. So that's a
That's for
good
sure.
that's a good example. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
I forgot to answer your other question. The
Oh yeah.
favorite play or
Favorite
something.
moment in pro ball. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I want to think of a good one. I mean, the pitching is definitely up there because that was
Yeah.
the first time I had ever done that in pro ball. I think, man, this is such a good question. Last year I there was 2 outs, bottom nine, bases loaded. We were down three. I just missed a grand slam, but
Oh,
off the top of the wall, and it
okay.
like tied the game, and we won the game, and that was
Yeah.
pretty cool because that was like high intensity, full crowd,
Yeah.
good arm on the mound, and locked it in and made it happen. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. I guess last thing I had really was, did you have like a favorite player growing up, someone you model your game after?
Derek Jeter, no
All right.
no doubt about
I kind of guessed
it.
that might be it, but no, I mean, that's
Corey
definitely a great
Seager's
answer.
another guy though. Like
Yeah.
obviously not when I was younger because he's not
Right.
that much older, but just growing up and seeing his swing on Twitter and all over the place. He's
Hmm.
just a guy that I've always kind of looked at. But
Awesome. I think that's really all we had. But I just wanted to really thank you for taking the time during the season. I know how crazy it gets. So, um, yeah, we really appreciate that. But we're gonna be rooting hard to see you make that leap in 2024 for sure. Um, whether it's this year or next year, we're definitely rooting for you. So that's awesome. I'd love to say hello and meet you in person when you make it up here in
absolutely.
Milwaukee, and you'll probably see me towering behind kids trying to get autographs. But I'll come down there during BP. Um, or I guess if someone wants to twist my arm, I guess I'll come to Nashville. I don't hate
There you go.
visiting there. So, but yeah,
It's a
either
good
way,
spot.
I'd love to say hello in person. So, really appreciate your time and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on. And again, sorry it took so long to get
No,
on, but I
yeah,
appreciate you being patient and we made it happen. So
no
thanks
worries.
again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right. Thank you to Patrick Dorrian for his time. We're really hoping to see him in Milwaukee sometime soon. And if not, hopefully see him down in Nashville. So thanks again. We hope to have him back on soon. Last two things is before we get to our final thoughts is I wanted to reinstitute our beer of the week segment and kind of been slacking on that. And then I also wanted to add a new segment called just we'll think of a fun name, but for now, just a random game in Brewers history. There's been a couple that I've tweeted about that I found that are super intriguing. So the one for today, I want to take everyone back to Mother's Day 2007, May 13th. And the Brewers were at Citi Field. So Julio Franco, I'm not sure how familiar you are with his career, Cole, but he debuted in April 1982. He played a couple months with the Brewers in 97. And in 2007, he was in their starting lineup. It was career game 2,488 for him. And he was 48 years old playing first base, batting fifth for the Mets. In a lineup that featured Jose Reyes, Carlos Beltran, David Wright.
Yeah, that was an awesome era of Mets.
Mm-hmm. And crazy to think 82 was when the Brewers won the World Series, and 2007 this was right before Braun debuted, but the same year. Like that's crazy to think about. Brewers lineup that day was Ricky Weeks, JJ Hardy, Prince fielder Bill Hall batting cleanup, and then Johnny Estrada, Kevin Mench, Corey Hart, Tony Graffinino, and Chris Capuano on the bump. But also in that lineup, what made it really cool to me was, given all his history with Julio Franco being on the Brewers, playing in the league forever, it was Carlos Gomez's debut for the New York Mets. So I thought that was really
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that Mets team was like my favorite back in like the 2K baseball eras, and you could
Yes.
play with that team was always awesome.
Yep. Yeah, those are a couple of cool dudes. So I thought that was cool. But then my beer of the week is the Leinenkugel's Lemon Haze IPA. I see. Are you drinking out of the Leinenkugel's Barrel Yard Cup? I got one of those too. I've been seeing them around the stadium.
Oh yeah.
It's green,
Can't you
greened
see
out.
it?
But that Barrel Yard is pretty cool. But it's kind of like a summer shandy, and if it hooked up with like an IPA and they had a baby, that's how I describe it. They describe it as a hazy IPA that combines subtle hop character with refreshing natural lemonade flavor. So that's basically exactly what it is. A summer shandy IPA. It's delicious. As the weather warms up, go and get one. So
Yeah. When I went to the Barrel Yard or whatever last time, they had like some old cards out you could just take while you after you ordered. And I grabbed them, and I think they're real, but maybe not. But I'm trying to think what brand they were. But I grabbed Randy Johnson and trying to think what the other card is. Yeah, but it was kind of cool. They had like these old cards out from like 1990 or something.
I
I
got
think
my
it might have been Dave Parker actually in a Brewers uniform.
Ooh,
Would that make
that
sense? Would he have been around with
he
us?
was on the team in 1990.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I had my first Barry Weiss in my Leinenkugel's cup from the Brewers game. So that was good as well. But that is not the beer of the week. But yeah, and then my only main final thought was that Shohei Ohtani was cleared of any involvement in the Ipe Mizahara betting scandal, his translator. So
Yep, and OJ Simpson also was cleared of his
yeah.
wrongdoings. Rest in
No,
peace, OJ.
no. But yeah, that's good to hear. It sucks that that'll always be like a joke attached to his name now, but it's
Honestly, I feel like people are
well,
almost already pretty over it
yeah.
and accepting of
Yeah, I just know
whatever.
in 10 years on Twitter there's going to be betting jokes, whatever.
Yeah.
But I love Shohei, so
Well, whatever, Jonte Porter or whatever that
yeah,
came out today. That was a
yeah.
whole lot worse.
Well,
He
yeah,
was betting
everyone.
against his own team.
If you didn't see it, if you're not even an NBA fan, it's still interesting. But this very irrelevant NBA player
Well,
just
it's Michael Porter Jr.'s brother. I didn't realize that.
oh, I didn't know that either. But
Yeah.
either way,
Still irrelevant.
he got banned for life today from the NBA because there was a scandal and he was bet large sums of money, but some of the bets included betting for the team he played on to lose. And I saw
Yeah.
people on Twitter being like, "Oh, this like banned from the NBA, get banned from the NBA. This report is brought to you by like
Yeah.
DraftKings or whatever because sports have it in there." But you're completely missing the point. Sports can be affiliated with betting companies, and there can still be an assumption that the players not only don't bet, but definitely don't bet on your own team, and definitely don't bet on your own team to lose. Like that's like very, very different things.
Not that it's okay, but I think my understanding is he bet on them to lose when he wasn't playing, which I just think is funny because he's not good enough to impact it anyways, which is just funny. And then the other one is like he knew he wasn't gonna play or wasn't feeling well, and he told like some big bettors. But I just saw that one of the parlays, the guy put like $80,000 on a parlay for him to underperform, and it like got froze. Like no one's betting $80,000 on Jonte Porter's line.
Yeah, so I thought that was funny. People were kind of joking about the betting, but like, okay, I feel like it's not whatever.
Yeah, no,
you get my point. Obviously, it's gonna be affiliated with sports.
Yeah, I just think the more they shove betting in your face and the more accessible it is to people, the more that issues will pop up. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's on them to figure it out. Like you can't bet on your own sport. I don't know. Whatever. The Pete Rose thing aside, I'm glad that they're very stern about that in sports because that could literally just corrupt an entire pro sports league.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they hand down sentences like that because that's crazy. But yeah, funny. But yeah, that's all I had for final thoughts. What else did you have for final thoughts?
Yeah, well, you were just talking about two-way star, so I was going to bring up another one from your favorite collegiate baseball team, the Florida Gators.
Ex favorite. I just switched. For anyone who doesn't know, I've never really watched college baseball, and I wanted to take a liking to it. So I took the Gators this year because of Caglione, but I'm totally fair weather fan since I have no actual affiliation. I think we're switching to the Volunteers as a friend group. So
You say you didn't watch college baseball, and after the Parkside games I went to, I wouldn't watch college baseball either.
I
But no,
watched a
that.
lot, just my own, and it was painful. But
Yeah, the speaking of Caglione, the home run he had the other day, you hear the sweet ping of the aluminum bats that we don't get to hear. Well, the wood's probably better anyways, but what did they say that homer was like
516,
Yeah.
which for reference, Christian Yelich's bomb at Coors last year that made a big deal was 499. So
Yeah, with the elevation, but the wood bat, like
yeah,
honestly, I don't know how different that would be, to be honest. I'd love to see. This made me think of, well, I'll finish talking about him, where the fact that he is a legitimate arm lefty, and I think some of the talk, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought some of the talk was more of him as like a pitcher, but
yeah.
dude rakes. So it's like, why not? I don't know. I would love to see it. I think it would be awesome.
From watching, I think there is a much clearer path for him to be like a star as a hitter. Even
A
though
hitter, yeah.
even though he's a really good pitcher, he doesn't do anything crazy on the mound. He's not throwing 102, I guess my point. But
Well, that's why I want him to do both, dude.
right. Oh yeah, he
Even if
could. He
his
definitely could.
even if his contact rates aren't like insane, like his raw power. I watched Mark Reynolds play for a million MLB teams, including the Brewers, and all that guy could do was occasionally hit a homer.
Yeah.
So obviously, we're seeing with Shohei, there's some complications to having a two-way guy like that, but I don't know. He's
the best
elite
bet.
at both.
He's the best bet for the next, not Shohei caliber, but the next legit can maybe be an all-star from both sides. But I think his hitting is head and shoulders better even than his pitching. So pretty cool to see.
But when I saw that, I wish they do like maybe they, I don't know, do some sort of all-star weekend thing, but give them like the home run derby guys or something metal bats. Take all the kids out of the outfield, because I think it's already a bad idea.
No, they don't care. They
Yeah.
Pete Alonso does not care.
Take all the orphans out of the outfield, please.
Yeah. Seriously.
But when I think it'd be awesome to see like extended outfield and have guys just hit bombs, because I don't know, everyone talks about too the like steroid era and all that crap, which
At Miller
I mean,
Park.
yeah,
Home
exactly.
run derby.
But it'd be fun to watch guys just nuke baseballs.
Did you read Bud Selig's like
Some of it.
autobiography?
Yeah, some of it, but I didn't.
Well, they like confronted. I'm not gonna say it exactly now, but they like basically confronted, I guess, Sosa before the Derby, is like how the story goes. That home run derby about the steroids, and he was so mad that is what partially motivated him to hit them 700 feet at Bud Park. I'll have to double check that. Maybe put it on Twitter, but
yeah, he's still so weird about the steroid stuff. I saw that interview like just a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, whatever. Anyways, Sammy Sosa aside, well, one other thing I kind of wanted to talk about was just some other Cubs greats. I saw Bryant's going on the IL, and he has yet to get cooking in Colorado.
Dude, that's
and then
crazy.
Javi, I was listening to like Baseball is Dead, and they were talking about it, but Javi had his first walk of the year or something, which is funny. And he like held off a slider going away, which we all know is his weakness.
Dude,
mainly the fact that it was a pitch it was his weakness. But
I like all those. The Rizzo too. Like I like
Rizzo a lot.
I like all three of those dudes, but the fall off that Baez and Bryant had, I mean, Baez on another level.
Dude,
but
it's insane.
But yeah, it's sad, honestly, to see. But.
Well, and it's like it's two franchises that both kind of need to hit on their money. They don't have to. They both spend okay, I guess, but especially the Rockies, like the Rockies need stars, and they invested in one, and he has yet to be that. Now, it just doesn't make as much sense to me why he fell off so hard, and you would think he's got enough time in that contract. Yeah, but like it's not like, I don't know. We'll see. But it's just funny because I don't know. As much as I guess I want to laugh, they still got their championship, and that will be an all-time team forever. And Javi at his peak was super. I can't say he was fun to watch, but he was.
It's like, did they not realize how to pitch to him for a couple of years? Is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's not like his approach has changed. That's the other thing they say. Like if you watch him now, his approach does not change. Like
Yeah,
you
no,
said, he doesn't walk.
you
He's
know what
just
he's
like,
gonna do.
fuck it. Yeah.
Um, Otherwise, I guess keep it in the division and related to the crew. I saw Kutch had his 300th homer.
Hell yeah.
Just cool. He's a guy that even before he was a Brewer and just as a Pirate, like I don't really know any Brewers fans that like disliked him. Like he
No.
was good and you accepted it, and you didn't want him to be successful against you, but he was awesome. And he kind of made his way around the league to a couple other franchises, Yankees, Phillies, all that. Um, but he's just always kind of been a class act, and I think he was an awesome piece when we added him just for what he was and is. And
Yeah, I love Kutch. He didn't really do anything too special in Milwaukee, but it's still just cool to say someday that he was a Brewer because, like you said, that little era from like a decade ago where Pittsburgh was fairly relevant and Kutch won an MVP. That was awesome. I love Kutch. So
yep,
congrats to him.
yeah. And then I guess two kind of related pieces. Obviously, just the other day it was Jackie Robinson Day, when everyone wore 42. Um, yeah, right
Right
there.
there.
They were arguing about this too on I think Baseball is Dead. When
Yeah,
did
the
the
numbers.
Brewers? Yeah, when I don't really remember the blue numbers as
This is the
much, but
third year. I did remember as well. And then they went back and looked. It's the third year of the Dodger color and font on the
yeah,
back.
it's cool obviously if your jerseys are blue, but it's almost more cool in my opinion if they're not. Like
Yeah.
I like when it's like if it's like whatever the Orioles and all of a sudden they got blue numbers
Mm-hmm.
because it just stands out that much. And not to make it like cheesy analogy, but what he was doing was obviously
Mm-hmm.
far and above standing out that much, and it's just a cool
Yeah.
honor to see. And
Yeah. For those of
obviously,
you have never seen the video, I was pointing to. I have the classic picture of Jackie Robinson sliding into home in the World Series above my shoulder on the wall. But that also was featured on Fernando Tatis's cleats this Brewers Padres series. That picture. So kind of cool.
that's dope. Yeah, I remember. I don't know, to give us some baseball nerd reputation here when we went and saw the Jackie Robinson movie 42.
Yeah.
Kind of like the whatever baseball group, and we were in high school at least, end
Yeah.
of high school probably.
Yeah. Probably 15 or
But
16 maybe.
we all went and we all loved the movie and kind of I don't know, when you see a good movie and you leave the theater and you're like just envisioning what really happened and yeah, how cool it was. And
There it is.
yeah, right there. It's
My
not the right color blue, but
my Jackie Robinson tattoo again if you're audio only. So yeah,
well, I didn't know if your hat was like homage to that too, or if you
oh
just happened to be wearing your
it's the Milwaukee Bears hat. So yeah,
yeah.
I been cycling through hats to show them off on the podcast because I have a gazillion of them, and now that I work a desk job, I don't get to wear them as much. So I'm trying to switch them out. But yeah, kind of thought of it when you mentioned that. So, but yes, Jackie Robinson is my favorite player of all time. So I got a 42 tattoo. So it's supposed to be a little play on the when I played baseball. We're all wearing 42. That was kind of my thing. So yeah, great movie.
Yeah. And then my related note is a name that I actually already brought up today. And April 13th, which is in the period since we last talked, 1954 was Hank Aaron's debut, which, just 7 years after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, obviously making it possible for Hank Aaron, which um, is maybe, well, yeah, I don't know. He's the best baseball player to have called Milwaukee home, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion.
Yep.
And yeah, he's just meant so much to the franchise and the team. Um, Kind of bridging the gap between the great success the Braves saw and um, his friendship with Selig even, and brought in kind of the new era of Milwaukee baseball when he finished out his career with the Brewers. So it was just awesome to see, and one of my favorite players for sure. So
Yeah.
wanted to
I
shout that out.
would have loved to meet him before he passed. That would have been awesome. But
Yeah,
I just realized my microphone's resting on the Jackie Robinson autobiography.
there you go.
Funny. But yeah, hey,
Yeah. So 70 years ago, he debuted, and the rest is history. And the last piece from 70 years ago it debuted to just a couple days ago. Said some debuts. This weekend we saw Jackson versus Jackson, and that led right into Monday where we saw Jackson versus Jackson. But no, it was cool to see all the kind of hype young talent. I think 3 youngest guys in the league
Yep,
all happen to have the same name.
that
Yeah,
name was very popular in 03 and 04.
yeah, in Venezuela and in
America and
Oklahoma.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was cool to see. And Holiday started a little slow, I think, and then just as soon as that was pointed out in our group chat, he had an RBI. But
Yeah.
still a good series, and it's cool to put those young stars. And then Merrill was on a really hot streak, I know, but I think he went 0 for today. So
No,
we
I think
ended as
did he have I thought he had a triple today. Hold on. I was also working.
oh
I was also working when I was watching, so
no,
apologies if I'm so
I do
uninformed.
know someone hit a triple, so he could have. That sucks. I was gonna shit
Yeah,
on him.
we promised we watched the games, but like we said, we were working. Keep talking, I'll check.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it's just awesome to see the young talent. I know Merrill kind of was forced into a role, sort of, because of their
Yeah, he
lack of.
tripled. He tripled in the seventh off Big Arrow.
All right, well then he stays hot, and all Jacksons eat, right? We still won, so it's okay.
Yep.
But yeah, just cool, especially to see like when Churio, whatever, he had his homer the other day, and it's on the MLB page, right? You don't
Yeah.
see too many of our younger stars featured in league-wide discussions. So that's just a good opportunity to put the Brewers in the forefront of baseball as having one of the young stars.
And he started his career better than I think a lot of people thought he was going to. I think we thought there's going to be more of a transition period, and here he is, like 13 or 14 games in, and he's got like I think 12 or 13 RBIs. So let me check. Got a lot
Yeah,
of
but he's a guy that even I think when he's not everything's clicking, he's just got so many of the extra that's the perk of being a 5-tool
yep.
player, right? Where he can make up for some of it with other pieces of his game and his speed, his pop, his speed in the field, his arms good enough. So
11. He's got 11 RBIs. But yeah, pretty awesome to see.
yeah, it's kind of interesting to watch him bounce around the lineup too. I'm kind of surprised they didn't just kind of ride him out somewhere and let him get
Mhm.
comfortable, but it's cool, I guess, too, to have some games where he's up top and really can shine, and other games where he can maybe play a little more relaxed at the bottom.
Yeah, I think Yelich being out too kind of forced the last 4 or 5 games to get a little random because we don't really have another obvious fit for the 3 hole. So that just kind
Well,
of shuffles
if you ask
everything. But
Kian, we don't have any obvious. No, I'm just kidding. I
yeah.
kind of agreed with that too. But if Yelly keeps hitting bombs,
Oh yeah.
I'm cool with him in the 3-hole. But
Keep him there. We did the comparison to his first 10 games as a Brewer each season. And he's right up there with the 2019 season, which was the one where he looked like the MVP from the start. So really
yeah,
good
and
start for him.
he liked that 10-game stretch so much that he decided to leave it right there and hop on the IL.
Hey, he was 1 for 1 in that game 11. So yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, I think that is all we got, but thanks for tuning in. And follow us on Twitter and go Brewers, baby.
Go Brewers.
Bye.